Planet Zooers, welcome to the NOLA Zoo Collaboration. I had so much going on last week, I totally forgot to put this speed build up on YouTube for you guys before Jake did his live stream. My apologies. I took my son to college and I started a new job. So that was all last week. So anyway, here we are with a couple of shots of what I worked on in the live stream and what I worked on off the stream and is in this speed build. And so make sure that you head over to Fauna's YouTube, and I think the Insider is going to have the zoo next, and then we have Jake, who's currently working on the zoo. So make sure you check out his live streams and videos to see what happens next. And then eventually I think we're gonna have Faith the Flaming Flamingo is going to contribute as well. And so I am redoing a little bit of this back part. So this was started during the live stream and I ended here because I was getting tired and kind of fighting a little bit. So what I'm working on, if you didn't catch the live stream or watch the playback, is the all staff building. I did not put in a research center or a workshop in this building. So I need to find out if I can share any workshop items from this zoo yet. I'm not sure. I don't remember if that was included or not in what we can do as a collaboration, or if we're going to wait until everything's finished and put it out all together. So I'll get back to you on that. But anyway, so I'm just gonna create a couple of fake windows here, just making some log windows, and that way they'll turn on at night and not have real windows, but just some basic windows to give it that nice little in the swamp field kind of. We're doing kind of a New Orleans theme, so I have different themed buildings that I did for this. This one here kind of matches the entrance, and at first I did the stairs this way and I didn't like it, so I went ahead and went around the other way and then came down until I could get level, and that way I could come around the building, and I like that much better than how it looked on the other side. And then I'm gonna go ahead and remove a few things from underneath the foundation there. I used the same foundation setup as I used on the entrance during the live stream, and then brought it over here to kind of have the same feel with the entrance building and this building. And I'm going to put a different style building in the middle in between these. You'll see it in a minute. So I'm adding the roofing over this path, and I'm going to extend that little patio out some. I don't think I put the path in there because there's no entry into anything, but I do bring the floor out to go ahead and give it that feel that if they wanted to, they could sit over there. And so we have the quarantine, the trade center, a staff building, and what else is in here? My brain just went bloop. There's a keeper hut and I guess a vet surgery. I think those are all the things that are in there. So I'm just doing a little work underneath here. I thought I cut most of this out, but I guess I left a little bit in of doing some work underneath the foundation. It's really tight squeezes to get all of those little pieces once there's things already there. So it's not that fun to watch live, I don't think, or in a speed build especially, because the angles just get so wonky. But anyway, I'm looking over here just to see what I had done with different parts of the, I guess, what are those? The railing, just to make sure I was still kind of following the same theme. And I needed power, and I went ahead and put a water filter here. Those were kind of a little too sunk in, so I redid it and put in some new ones so that they wouldn't require a stair down into the floor. That's kind of funny. I don't want them walking into the floor. Anyway, so going ahead and just getting this kind of set up and moving some pieces so it makes a little more sense. It's not blocked off. And I also cut out putting individual logs up the stairs underneath. I ended up replacing that with something else, so you'll see that. And I'm putting just the log wall floor underneath this stair here, and then continuing with the Arctic floor. It was kind of off grid a little bit, and then I was going through different ideas on what I wanted to do, so I decided I didn't want to bring it out another step. I just wanted to keep it with the one. And then originally I thought, well, I'll just use this, but that didn't work the way I wanted. I would have to build it a little too much out. I didn't like that. It looked a little weird. So we're going to go back in. I'm going to get these. And so if the staff does walk right there, they may phase through a little bit. I'm trying to redo the pathing to see if I can get it a little more lined up, and I did. I was able to get it onto the grid instead of using the 90, which kind of hides that curb a little better. And then I went with the log walls at the 1 meter height. I think those are 1 meter. And then I split them off the group so that I could put this bottom part in line with them, and that made my life much easier. I wasn't too worried about the little bit of concrete sticking out right there. And then I ended up using, later you'll see it, I'll use the same log floor to replace the individual logs that I had done underneath the stairs. And then on that one, I split it out from the grid, so that I could cover the rail on the other side. And then adding in some supports, one on each end and then one on each corner. And I was just using that to get the distance where the other ones were, so I'd bring it back to make sure they were in the same, I guess, they were in line with each other. The word's not coming, but you get what I mean. And then right here, I'm making a little custom cover for the stairs, and this is where I notice my logs are sticking through, and I go ahead and get rid of them, and I'll replace them with something else. So I kind of get a little set going and then go ahead and copy those over. Some of them didn't quite, I guess, have the same height, so I went ahead and kind of adjusted those. I was having a hard time getting a hold of them so that I could move them, so I had to go to the back side to get them highlighted and then come back around so that I could move them together. Some of the struggles, sometimes you have to get real creative to grab things when they're super close to each other, and then just doing the same thing, copying those 4 to cover up the stairs. And then I wonder if I went back and actually put that one log back now that I'm looking at it. I can see the curb. I'll have to check the file. Nope, there it is. I did do it. Yay! So there we go. And then I just needed one more for that stair right there. And then I'm going to use, like I said, that log. Actually, yeah, I used a log floor. They have one that is a knot grid. And then just kind of filled it in a little bit, so that way it's covered underneath. And then I got rid of that little bit right there so that it looks like they can walk over there if they want to, and added a little bit of decoration to out here. And I put in a little Jeep. I was having a hard time deciding where I wanted it. I ended up moving it one more time, and then I wanted a little bit of the Jetty. I didn't want to custom build one. They're a little bit of a pain. I just went with the in-game one. So this is under bedding, I think, in the habitat menu. And then I realized that my Jeep was part of that group, so I had to break him out. And then I just did some implied stairs here. I mean, they are stairs, but the staff, nobody's going to actually use them because I don't put the path over here, and nobody will go out onto the patio either, or the deck, I should say. I didn't put the path out there either, but it's just there for looks. And then I put in a little boat. I was having trouble getting it to align with the water, so I went ahead and let it snap onto the dock so that I could turn it. And then I put in kind of some stairs here. I should have tied the boat off to the dock, so I'll have to do that the next time I have the file. I noticed I did not do that, so this boat could potentially just float away if it wanted to. So, but that way they can get up to the little dock if they do use the boat, little in-game boat. And then I'm going to finish off this little section over here, and then right there is where I have the change of elevation, so I'll come back and cover that up where it has the staff path, so we can cover that ugly little bit of path. I just used one staff path to keep guests from going over here, and then just used a regular path. I wasn't sure if I was going to cover it up or not. And I'm scooting this back a little bit to cover the actual curb instead of being right on the edge. And then we're going to bring that around to the other side and go ahead and cover that curb over there and bring it to meet the deck. Eventually we'll take out those little Christmas lights. And I decided it didn't look like there was quite enough room for that Jeep to really make it over there. So I moved it to the other side. And then I guess they just have to walk a long way to get up here if they actually came that direction. And then I'm covering the curb with the wood to get rid of that, whatever color that is. And moving to a little bit smaller, the 1 meter, so I could come around on the curb. Even though this does cover it up, I did want to make sure that we kind of had the same look if you're looking around in there. And then I just, instead of getting the archer, I just moved that little staff worker so I could eyeball where a rail potentially would be. Then copying those guys over and covering the curb here as well. And then we'll use the little 1 meter pieces to kind of fill in the gap. And then same thing over here. So just more covering up. And also I noticed I don't have the path actually going into those support buildings. And so I was trying to decide what I wanted to do here. And I decided just to kind of leave them open instead of curving in. And over here, I decided I would use a little bit bigger log, and then also to give it a little different texture on this side of the building as well. So we have just a little bit different themes going. Mostly I was going for the big one because it covered up a little easier. It was, I don't know, just the look of a whole bunch of those logs wasn't doing it for me. I liked just the big one. And then I went ahead and just made a little more uniform the foundation right there. Just copied those to make them look like little cinder blocks underneath it. And then brought that, I forget what it's called, that lattice over so that it would keep any animals from getting underneath it. You know, little rodents, that's what it's for. We don't want rodents down there. And then covering up that path like I talked about earlier, just so it all has the same look as it leaves the guest path that ends right here. And in case you're wondering if this looks any familiar to you, it might. I think it is the very first timed map in the career. I think it's called Cursemere or something like that. Anyway, and I'm placing the support beams to cover those little knobs on the path there, so they're not even like the other ones are. This one turns out a little bit more, I guess, rickety than the other ones do. And I decided they needed a couple little chairs out here, and we're going to go ahead and I put the little Indian fire pit, I think that is, or is it an African fire pit. And then I used some of the Indian market stuff just to put some things out here, like they're storing some stuff, just to make it interesting. Added a little bit of sunshade, and then just put knots on them to make it look like they're tied together, so they're supported up there. And then went ahead and used the Indian market fabrics and changed their colors to a little bit darker. Kind of looks like maybe they're drying some bedding out there. Who knows? But I thought it was fun. And then in the South, I live in Texas, so we do have this. The Spanish moss is on a lot of trees in the South. And so I decorated this weeping willow with a bunch of the Spanish moss. So I would just get that settled into the tree, and then I copied that one. And originally I was going to make 3 different ones because there's 3 different sizes of the willow tree, but I think I end up only decorating 2 with the Spanish moss over here, and then just copy those 2 around. That way it kind of saved me some time, as well as the 3rd one I was getting a little tired, I guess, in the process that day, so I just did the 2, and then that one I just moved over. I don't think I put any of that in there. And then I came back to my entrance. I decided to go ahead and make this look like a pier, but you do have to, pay for entry before you get access to the pier, kind of. So the entry, actually, they spawn one in the parking lot, and they spawn inside that building there, and the tickets are right in that building as well. And then so you can see they're going in and out, and that was why I connected it, and there is a door on the side, but they don't seem to use it. They kind of just walk in and walk back out. But I did want the guests to walk in the parking lot a little bit, so I only put 1 spawner out there. And then I wanted to just kind of build a building to set the theme for, this is considered a New Orleans theme zoo, so it actually has nothing to do with New Orleans or New Orleans Zoo per se. It's just going for that architecture, all the different styles that they have if you were to go to New Orleans. And so this I took, I didn't take it. What's the word I'm looking for? I took inspiration from a picture of one of the set of buildings as you walk through New Orleans. So there's a lot of really pretty buildings out there. It's one of my favorite styles of architecture. So I kind of wanted to just add a building that fits the theme of New Orleans. And this is what I started with. So I kind of just threw some things out to get the feel for what the building was going to be, and then went and did one detailed section so that I could easily copy it out. And I made a mistake right here in that I did not flatten this to foundation before I started building. I just threw it all out, so it does cause me a little bit of pain later on. So don't make that mistake. Make sure when you're building a building to set the foundation. Anyway, so I'm just setting all the pieces in for that windowsill and copying them around so that I could get them up to the top. And then on the outside, I was looking for kind of something to make some shutters with, and I ended up just picking kind of the same wood that I did the windows out of. I just changed the color to green, so it looks like we have some shutters. And then we're gonna, I had an idea there, but it didn't pan out the way I wanted, so I didn't go with it. And then I'm adding in those floor pieces, and in some areas they do overlap, but I am basically creating a template so that I am not building this piece by piece as I go around the building like I started originally. That way, as I go around, everything will be just copied over in the same spot, and there will be less to kind of fill in. It will already be there. So I'm gonna copy this little section and bring it up, and then I'm gonna do the same thing with the floor and bring that up. And then I decided I'm gonna do something different up here. So making sure I stayed in the grid and brought the height down to 0 and used shift so that I could get the roof there to be where I want it. And so originally, as I started going around, I realized about the overlap that was happening. And so I kind of backed up, and then I ended up just going with it, mostly because I couldn't get this to select the way I wanted it to. It was all or nothing, and I was having a hard time just getting little bits and pieces. So I went ahead and backed up to where I started, because really what I wanted was not the floors. I wanted just the wall at one point. So I just hit Control Z and then just went with it, and I'll go back inside later and get rid of the ones that are not needed. I can see them by their Z fighting, that wave that happens with certain overlaps. And I think a few of these did get a little bit off in their height, just a smidge, because I have the grid height at 0, and I didn't catch that until I was inside. And unfortunately, it wouldn't let me move all 3 of those at once. It gives me a really weird arrow. They have to be, what's the word? Symmetrical. And so for the first one, I did it one by one. And then on these, I just decided I would highlight an extra set so I could just scoot them over and save myself some time. It's a little easier just to delete what I didn't need than move them all one by one. So I put 2 little roof pieces up here, and then we're going to put in little flower things everywhere. I probably should have decorated it first, but it snapped so nicely. Wow, that was hard to say. I just went with it. And then when I had to do the flowers, I was regretting life just a little bit. For these, I put the middle in line with that pole, and then just did a 15-degree turn in, and then kind of lined them up. It wouldn't let me copy them, so I ended up just doing that all the way around. And they do have a little bit of a crossover right there, and I did try a couple of different ideas to fill that in, and I didn't come up with a solution right away. On these, I did want to put some mulch in there, but the mulch didn't really fit too well, so I just stuck the flowers in. So they're mulchless flowers. I went ahead and just put those all the way around while I thought about what I was going to do on these curves. And my ultimate solution is I'll go ahead and finish out that same pattern with the 15-degree turn on the other side. And then I ran wisteria up through there. So it kind of looks like, I guess, you can't see it, but if you get close in, I guess it looks kind of like the support for that wisteria, that it was on purpose. Really, it's just me hiding that the game did not give me any curved metal pieces right here to work with. So that was my solution. And what am I doing here? I'm not sure. Moving the floor, obviously. Maybe I'm copying it. I might have deleted the bottom and then copied it down for that path. I redid the path down there a couple of times, and I didn't like several renditions. I do need to make a door on this. It's all windows right now. I'll do that when I get the zoo next time. So right now it's kind of a shell, and I decided to go ahead and put this in here so guests can look at it. And I think I moved it a couple of times. Originally I was gonna have the path go around, and then on that top side, but I took that out, and I decided I'll go around it this way. And then I did a staff path for the staff to go through, and here's where I realized I made the mistake that it is not a level area. So I went ahead and raised the floor so that I could see everywhere I had put path, and I turned on flattened a foundation with the path, but it looks fine on the outside, but it didn't work on the inside because the exhibit is in the way. It won't flatten. So I'll have to go back in there and work that out a little more. I really liked, at one point, I had done some grid pathing in there and the concrete or asphalt path. And I kind of liked the way it came through. It gave it kind of a different texture between the two concrete and their colors. And I really liked it because it kind of, your older buildings would kind of have, a variation like that where you see the old and the new, the old's kind of peeking through as it gets worn down after you can see the different times it's been refloored or repaired or whatever. However, it just didn't work out the way I needed it to with the pathing. So I took that out and came back out here. And then I'm not sure if I left that in my speed build edit or not, but that was some of the struggles that I did go through when I was putting this together because I forgot to do the flatten to foundation. So actually you may get to see it. I think it's going to be right here. You can see it peeking through. That's where I had that idea. The reason I took it out, I remember now, is because it connected to the outside path and I didn't want it to. And the guests were just walking through however they wanted to look in here. And I did not want them doing that. But if I use the staff path, then it puts the little Planet Zoo all over everything. And that's not what I wanted either. So I ended up just taking all the path back out. I think I did try to flatten it a little bit, but I think I just went with getting rid of the path inside and worrying about it at a later date, because I also gave everybody permission that if this building is in the way, if it needs to be moved or just blueprinted and put back in the zoo, I just built it as kind of like a manor that's on the property. That was kind of the backstory I thought of, and that is common in the South areas and throughout the United States. You have places like that where it was originally a big estate, and then they'll sell it off at one point, or they'll put it to where it has to be used for certain use. So there's several plantations too that are like that. So there's a little peek around the zoo. So that's the inside of the entrance, and apparently it's cold in the zoo, so we must be in the winter time. And so here's our little manor, and you can walk down here. I need to add that door, but you can peek and you can see our snake that's in there. And mostly that's just there to get guests to come into the zoo. I needed to test out my entrance, and it was a good thing I did. I had a couple of issues. I had to fix it. I kept getting stuck with the Tejicam. I don't know why. It was really weird. There was nothing to get stuck on, but I would have to back up and go to the other side. So here we are at our staff building. So we're going to go up the stairs. There's the little kind of rest area with the fire, and you can look out over the zoo. So I can't wait to see what animals the guests will, not the guests, but I guess the staff from this building, what you'll be able to see. I cannot talk today. And then you can come around here. Got a little bit of the weeping willow in the way. Probably need to scoot it over some. And then, even though there's really not a path, we can walk out here. So we'll just take a little peek over here. And that is everything I built. And I need to fix that right there. Actually, I already did. But I think I'll have to fix it again because I already gave the zoo away. And that's okay. But anyways, there's a little boat. And that's my contribution to starting the zoo. And I can't wait to see what Jake does with it. I know he's already starting a giant otter build. So go ahead and head over there and you can rewatch his live stream if you didn't catch it this weekend. And thank you for watching my contributions. I'm stuck again. I'm really excited how that building turned out. I thought it came out really cute. So anyway, and if you do like the content, go ahead and subscribe as we get stuck on all the ways to get stuck on a path. I hope you guys have a great day, and may the RNG odds be ever in your favor.